Hey guys, Mr. Reyes to help you out on the first part of the 9.2 notes with circles. So what we're going to be looking at is, can we write the equation of the circle? And that's going to be whether we are given the graph or just a bit of information about the circle here. So one thing to know about the circle is that a circle we've seen before, you know what the shape looks like, but technically it's the set of points in a plane that are all equal distance from a given point. So that given point there is called the center. We locate it at HK, kind of like how the vertex was at HK. And that's the point where everything is equal distance from. So every point on the circle is the same unit or same distance away from HK. That distance is what we call the radius. Okay. And so the radius is just basically a distance or a line segment that goes from the center to any edge point of the circle. So the standard form of an equation is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Now that's only if the center is at 0, 0. So those are always going to be really nice and easy, just like when we did parabolas that had an equation or a vertex at 0, 0. It gets a little bit more complicated. If we have a center that's not in the middle of our graph, it's towards, a point HK, it's going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So what we want to do to figure out the equation of this here is to go through and figure out what this is. So let me try to zoom out to see if I can get this all in. There we go. Good enough. Okay, so if we have this graph here, and hold on one second, let me grab my pen. Okay, we know that the center of the circle is at -3, 1, and we got the edge here is on the other side. What we're going to do is plug in what we know. Okay, so when we look at the circle here, to write the equation of this here, we definitely know that the h is at -3, so it's x minus -3 squared plus y minus k is 1 squared equals, okay, r squared. So what we need to do here is to figure out what this is. What is our r? Well, in order to find r, we have a problem, right? So we really can't just fill this out as is, but we can find r a couple different ways. One thing that we can do with our r is to realize here, so I have the ability to kind of erase this here, is that our center is at the point HK and our R has an X and Y value. So we can make this a 2 minus -3 squared plus -1 minus 1 squared. And we can find for R. So we'll do that now. Let's see, we'll simplify. What's 2 minus -3? That would be 2 plus 3, that's 5 squared. Plus -1 minus 1, that's -2 squared equals r squared. We can evaluate the exponents there. All right, so that'd be 25, and that'd be plus 4 equals r squared. And we can add them together. And so we'd get 29 equals r squared. Now that means that the radius is equal to the square root of 29, which is good if we want to know the length here. But when it comes down to writing our formula is always going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Since our equation ends in r squared, we know r squared equals 29. We're just going to end with a regular 29. That'd be better than to try to figure out what that is as a decimal and then squaring that. The only other thing we need to do is plug in only the h and k. So our answer is going to be x minus -3. So we'll change that to x plus 3 squared plus y minus k is 1 squared. And there we go. There's the equation of a circle given the center and an endpoint, or just looking at the graph there. Okay. So let's go through this here and let's do a little bit more. So what do we got to do? Move my face here. If we know that the endpoints of a diameter are at 7, 6, and -1. Well, okay, so if we think about that here, 7, 6 would probably be like over here, right? And then -1, 8, or -1, -8, actually probably be down here. All right, well, not the best drawing, but okay, if that says that's the endpoints of the diameter, we can go through and find a couple different things. we can use the midpoint formula to find the center. So the midpoint is, this is why we practiced it before, is we add up the x's. So what's 7 plus -1? We'll divide that by 2. And then we'll add up the y's. 6 plus -8. We'll divide that by 2. So the center is at, okay, let's see, that'd be 6 minus 2. The center's at 3. And then 6 minus 8 is 2. -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So the center is at 3, -1. The next thing that we can do is we can find the radius. Now the radius goes from the center to an endpoint. All right, so you guys kind of know I like to do the difference formula. So what's the difference from 3 to 7? Well, that'd go by 4. You can also change, how does 3 change to -1? That's by 4. So we're going to put 4 squared here, plus, all right, how does it change going from -1 to 6? Or how does it change from -1 to -8? That's a change of 7. All right, so we would get, all right, that'd be, well, not 49, that'd be 16. There we go. Plus 49, that'd be 65. So the radius would be radical 65, but pretty much what we got to remember is that we're always going to be using r squared. So r squared equals 65. So the last step, scroll on down, is to put that all together. So our center was at 3, -1, and our r squared equals 65. So we're going to write this as x minus h is 3 squared plus y plus 1, because it's minus a -1 squared, equals 65. Okay, so if you want to try this on your own, go ahead and do that. Pause the video, see if you guys can do the next problem. All right, let's check to see if you got this right. First, we got to find a center. So to find the center of the circle, we're going to do the midpoint. All right, so we add up 3 and 9, that's 12 divided by 2, that's 6. Add up 1 and -7, that's -6 divided by 2 is -3. All right, next thing we're going to do is to find the radius. To find the radius, we're going to take the square root of, okay, how much does it change going from the center to the edge? From 6 to 3 is a change of 3. Also 6 to 9 is a change of 3. And how much does it change going from -3 to 1? That's 4. Also -3 to -7 is a change of 4. All right, so we would get 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. Add them together, we get the square root of 25. Now we could figure out what the square root of 25 is, but we want to remember we're going to actually use r squared, our radius squared, in the formula. So we just want to keep the number inside the parentheses, which is just 25. So if we put this all together with the formula, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, we have x minus h is 6 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals our r squared is 25. There we go. So now let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's homework, what you guys will be working on. Okay, so you guys will be taking those online quizzes on Canvas. The first quiz is just to find the equation of the circle given the graph. So we go ahead, look at some of these problems here. What you're going to do here is you're going to identify the, try to zoom in, you got to find the center here. So if this is going to be x minus, we look at that x value, that centers at 1, -3, so it'd be x minus 1, and then y minus -3. Now technically we would write plus 3, but it'd be easier here, and then equals r squared. So you have to find the radius. Now not a lot of these circles on the graphs are really easy because you can just count over. These are nice circles here. I could count over and figure out, okay, that has a radius of 2, so 2 squared would be 4. Okay, so just like this problem here, okay, where's the center located? The center located over 2.
We have 2 buses that are currently pulling in and unloading, so please hold attendance for a few minutes. We'll get back on. Thank you.
So it'd be x minus 2 squared plus y minus -1 squared, and then equals r squared. So you got to count the radius. This goes over 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 squared would be 16. Okay, so you guys have 4 problems like that. You'll submit that quiz. It shouldn't be too bad. And then you guys will also take the next quiz here, just keeping these separate to make everything easier to understand whether you have a problem or not. Okay, these problems, there's just 2 of them here. These are given the 2 points of the diameter. So you're going to have to find the center of them by finding the midpoint. So, okay, what's the midpoint between -3 and 7? Add them together, that's 4 divided by 2, that's 2. What's the midpoint of 8 and 6? Add together, that's 14 divided by 2, 7. And then use the distance formula between the center and one of those points to find the radius. Okay, if you guys have any questions, just ask, but I think you guys will be all right with this. All right, I'll see you guys next time when we add a little bit more to our circles. See you later.